Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 6 to 10 of chapter 3. Karmendriyani sanyamya,
Karmendriyani sanyamya,
ya aste manasa smaran,
ya aste manasa smaran,
indriyartan vimudhatma,
indriyartan vimudhatma,
mithyachara sa uchyate,
mithyachara sa uchyate,
yastvindriyani manasa,
yastvindriyani manasa,
niyamyarabhaterjuna,
niyamyarabhaterjuna,
karmendriyai karmayogam,
Karmendriyai karmayogam,
asakta savishishyate,
asakta savishishyate,
niyatam kuru karmatvam,
niyatam kuru karmatvam,
karmajyayo hyakarmanaha,
karmajayo hyakarmanaha,
sharirayatra pichate,
sharirayatra pichate,
na prasidhyeda karmanaha,
na prasidhyeda karmanaha,
yagnarthat karmanonyatra,
यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र
lokoyam karma bandhanaha,
लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः
tadartham karma kaunteya,
तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय
mukta sangha samachara,
मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर
saha yagna praja srishtva,
सह यज्ञा प्रजा सृष्ट्वा
Purovacha prajapatihi
पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः
anena prasavishyadvam
अनेन प्रसविष्यद्वम्
yeshavostvishta
येषवोऽस्विष्टकामधुक्
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session, we just went into this verse number 10. We have just made a start, wherein he says, he talks about the Lord of creation, Prajapatihi. How when the creation happened, the Lord of creation, how did he create? With what did he create? He says with this principle of sacrifice. And then what did he say? By this may you propagate. Let this be the wish-fulfilling cow of your desires. Now, it is not only in this verse, when we go to the next verse and the subsequent verse, he will be giving a few aspects of yagna. Now, if you add up all that, you will get a complete picture. This principle of yagna is so deep and extremely powerful that just one verse is not enough to explain the whole thing. The word yagna may be may look very small, it's just a single word. But the principle it represents is the fundamental principle of life with which you can expand your consciousness and become one with the infinite. See, here he is talking about creation and how right at the beginning of creation, this principle of yagna was used, and then he's putting it in a dramatic way where the Creator is telling everyone that you also use this principle of yagna to progress in life, to fulfill your desires, to accomplish your goals. He is putting it in a dramatic way. We'll come to that also, why he has put it in a dramatic way and all that. But first of all, what you need to understand is that the word yagna looks simple. It's a single word. It looks very straightforward. But the principle which yagna is representing is actually the very fulcrum of life. We will be seeing that also later on. He says the very Brahman, the infinite, actually rests on the principle of yagna, he'll say. It is using this principle of yagna that creation happened. For argument's sake, if you can visualize this whole thing, that is, here is a creator, and using the principle of yagna, he has created the entire world. So it is the principle of yagna through which the creation was possible, which means you are a part of creation and you have come because of this principle of yagna. Now, how do you get back to the creator? Creator here means the infinite, How do you get back to the infinite? Again, it is the same principle of yagna. So, this principle of yagna actually represents the entire principle of sadhana. One who masters yagna becomes a master of this life and also opens the door or absorbs the secrets, the secret door which opens up to enlightenment, God realization. So such a powerful principle cannot be given in one verse just like that. Even if it is given and stopped there, for you to absorb that, you need to really expand it, sit with it, meditate with it, practice it, and slowly the power of that phrase, that word will be revealed to you. See, this is true with any deep aspect of life. What is interesting is, once a martial arts master, he was telling me that the first lesson which they teach in martial arts, I'm talking of the physical aspect, is to take your stance and then do a basic punch. Just those movements. Now, what he was saying is that this looks like a simple movement. You're just punching. But as you move to higher and higher levels, the same punch will gather greater force. Because initially you will just be punching without any force. And then you will try to use the physical force. You will punch with the knuckles. Then you will learn to use the power from the forearms, then from the shoulders. Then he says the whole body will assist in generating that power. And then you learn to use the prana shakti, which in China they called it as chi, in Japan they called as ki. It is nothing but the prana shakti. So using that prana shakti to support the movement which you do. So what he was saying is, this looks so simple. The first lesson, okay, I want to learn martial art, now how to punch. Now as you progress, supposing the student asks, sir, at the final level, what will you be teaching? He will say the same punch. So if the student does not understand, he will say, what is this? This one thing I have to keep practicing. It's not merely that, the entire set of movements are there. But the point is, the movements are not going to keep changing drastically. Yes, some subtleties will also be added to that. But the most important thing is the depth will keep on increasing. The depth in terms of the power, the depth in terms of the force, depth in terms of the awareness, focus, concentration. So many things are there to master. It is exactly the spiritual principle only in practice. If you really think about it, any art or any skill functions on this principle only. Nothing can be taught just like that. You have to have the patience. You need to give yourself enough time and move very gradually. See, unfortunately, today these ancient arts like yoga, martial arts, and all these have become very result oriented. They just learn a few techniques and now they call themselves masters, and they start teaching. Even if you take yoga, yoga teachers training course. In the good old days, there was nothing like that, because you can't train a person to become a teacher. If at all, we can say a yoga instructor course, how to give instructions you can teach. But you can't make a person a teacher like that. And if a person tries to learn something like, let's say, yoga, I'm talking of the physical aspect here. If someone learns yoga in order to become a teacher, that person can never master that art. So in the good old days, they used to stay with the master. It's not merely the physical movements. The applications are varied. Through those physical movements, the master actually teaches the entire philosophy of life to the student. That takes a lot of time to absorb. It doesn't happen just with one session or a few sessions. You can't fix the number of hours and all that. So the ancient art is there externally, but the real spirit of that art, whether it's yoga or martial arts or even classical dance, classical music, what we find is just within a few years, the person starts giving performances nowadays. But in the good old days, it was not like that. And people who have gone through that kind of training, whether it is classical music or whether it's classical dance or whether it is yoga or martial art, such people would have evolved spiritually along with that art. So that is the yogic approach. See, in the good old days, the masters used the yogic approach to teach anything. According to your nature, let's say you have a particular interest. There is interest in a particular field. Now you learn the technical aspects of the field. That is one thing of that particular art. But what the spiritual master does is, using the yogic approach, he teaches how you can evolve with those activities. That is the most difficult thing to learn. It's very easy to learn the Bhagavad Gita as an intellectual text. We can go verse after verse. These are the points this verse is trying to convey. These are the points this verse is trying to convey. And within a short time, the entire knowledge can be given. But the depth cannot be communicated like that. And when the depth is communicated from the master, it takes a lot of time for the student to absorb that. The student has to sit with that. The student has to constantly keep exposing himself or herself to the aura of the master. It's a slow, gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. So when we are getting into the depth of these verses, you should be cautious. Don't become impatient. Okay, now he's talking about yagna. At least this verse, will he change the topic? No, he's going to talk about yagna. Okay, sir, what about the next verse, yagna? Subsequent verse, group of verses. Step by step, he'll be revealing. See, when you see a movie, for example, about martial arts, now you will find that they would have picturized it in a very dramatic way and they would have made it very interesting. But if you actually want to master that, you will have to go through years and years of hard work, struggle. You may have to practice the same thing again and again. The master will not go to the next step till he is satisfied that you are understanding the basics. It's a long process. But the end result may look very attractive. Even when when you see an artist playing the flute, for example, or an artist is playing the violin, it sounds so wonderful, it looks so good. But if you take the flute tomorrow and if you try to play, you will not be able to produce the same kind of melody. So the kind of effort that person has put in order to use the flute effectively to create that melodious tune, that is a long process. So the principle we are using for these Sunday sessions is the traditional old principle, ancient principle, what they used to use in the Gurukulas. That is the yogic approach, patiently discovering the depth of this wisdom. I am very carefully using the word discovering because everything is never told by the master. Even though it looks as if so much of knowledge is being given, what is being communicated, let me be very frank with you, it is only 10% of the total wisdom. Sometimes we may go up to 20-25%. The rest is left for the student to discover. And how will you discover that? It is only by developing that patience and having that tremendous interest in repeating the same thing again and again. See, every Sunday it's a kind of a exercise, we can say, a sadhana. You have to switch on whatever your device is and watch the session. There is a lot of variety which is being given because at least you should be thankful that you have not been asked to see the same discourse again and again. That is a more advanced sadhana. For that you require to be at a very advanced level to use just one thing and go on increasing the depth. So a good amount of variety is given within this yogic approach itself. Now more than that, if your mind is seeking for variety, what book shall I read? Now shall I listen to that? If it keeps going like that, then it means your focus has shifted from going into the depth to the length of study, and there is no end to that. The Vedas or the scriptures, they are like a forest. You will just get lost in that. So the yogic approach alone can help you to use the scriptural wisdom to enhance your life, to enhance the quality of your life, and to expand your personality and become one with the infinite. So, yagna, that one word symbolizes the entire life. It actually refers to the key principle of all the sadhanas which are prescribed by these great masters. So in the previous verse, he introduced this concept of yagna. He said, whatever activity which you're doing, do it for the sake of yagna. And he addressed Arjuna by the name Kaunteya, means son of Kunti. Your identification today is just with yourself and your family. Now you need to expand your identification and love. Go on expanding it till you merge with the infinite. That is the hidden message. Now, in this verse, he is giving you a very, very powerful application of this principle of yagna. See, what happens is, whenever you want to master a principle, one is to learn the principle directly, but it is only through the application of that principle in various situations that you can actually gain true mastery over that principle. It's like in mathematics, you have a theorem. The theorem is taught to you. You learn that theorem. Now, can you say you've mastered it? However much you have put an effort in understanding the theorem per se, you still can't claim mastery over it. So one is a theorem, other is a riders. Various riders are given. How to apply this theorem in various problems. So different kinds of problems are given, and you're asked to apply this theorem in those riders. It is only when you do that you can actually gain mastery over that theorem. Theorem is just the principle. Riders are the applications, various applications of that principle in so many different kinds of problems. So yagna is like the theorem, the principle. Now you have to master it by applying it in the various areas of life. That is how he has structured these verses. And then after this is over, he'll take up the next principle and several verses will go. It'll all revolve around that. It'll all look like he's talking about that one principle, yes, which is true, but different applications will be given. So if you just follow this flow, you will automatically start getting a mastery over the fundamental principles of life. So what is he saying here? He is saying that the Lord of creation created people along with this principle of sacrifice, along with yagna. And then he said, by this may you propagate. Anena prasavishyadvam. Let this be the ishta kama dukh, means the wish fulfilling cow of your desires. Now, if you notice, there is a distinct change of style from the previous verse to this verse. In the previous verse, he was giving the principle directly in a pragmatic way. Now in this verse, he has changed the style to a dramatic way. He is creating a drama here, a kind of a story. Here you are, the world is being created, and there is the creator, and how did the creator create? How, with what did he use to create this, and what is the message which the creator is giving? So it's like a story form. This is in contrast to the previous verse number 9, or many of the previous verses. Now, there is a reason why he is doing this. The great masters, when they give the principles of life, they also understand the limitations of the human mind. The human mind lacks the capacity to penetrate fully. If you have the capacity to penetrate, then all these are not required. I told you, in the pre-Vedic times, the education, the spiritual education was just with one mantra. Initially it was not, even that mantra was not there, it was just in silence. Which means the disciples used to go and stay with the master, and the master never used to talk verbally. The disciples used to keep serving him, doing some work here and there. Sometimes, the master is meditating and he may be just walking around, but no verbal instructions. Now, just by staying with the master, they learned the entire wisdom. Now, you may wonder, how is it possible? Because the disciples had that penetrative capacity. They were able to penetrate into that silence and derive the whole wisdom. But as time went by, that penetrative capacity started reducing. Then the master, as a help, started giving one mantra. The first mantra was Om. That was given. But just that Om was enough help for those advanced students who used that to gain this entire wisdom. And then further the penetrative capacity deteriorated. The master gave a little more, the aphorisms, the Mahavakyas, like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. So many, 4 Mahavakyas are there in the Vedas. So that was given, and then a little more explanation, the Upanishads were given. But like this, the masters kept expanding the wisdom part as the penetrative capacity of the students reduced. Now today we are in the age of Kali Yuga. So if we apply those old principles, just imagine, every Sunday you tune in your device. Nothing is being told, just silence. I'm just staring at you like this. Now, how long are you going to keep receiving? Very difficult, no? Within a few seconds or few minutes, you will start feeling restless. When is he going to talk? What is? Can't he say something? The mind will start weaving so many thoughts. So the penetrative capacity has become very less today. And it is said in the scriptures that as Kali Yuga progresses, the penetrative capacity will become further and further less. So when we use this yogic approach in the right sense, like how it is being done every Sunday in a systematic way, on one hand it will look as if you are gaining a lot of knowledge from outside, but it's not that. It has been designed in such a way that it increases your penetrativeness. So your capacity to penetrate, go into the depth of life will keep on increasing. So when the mind lacks that penetrativeness, the masters use various ways. One such effective method is to present this wisdom in the form of a story or a drama. That is how the entire Puranas were given out. Purana means that which happened long back. So the 18 Puranas were written by the same Vedavyasa who compiled the 4 Vedas. And when he compiled the 4 Vedas, he understood that not everybody will be able to get the deeper messages. You need a tremendous penetrative capacity. So he created the 18 Puranas. Now what are those Puranas? The same message of the Vedas have been given in the form of incidents and a lot of exaggerations and all that also have been included to make it very interesting. So people, in spite of that, see, they don't have that penetrativeness at all, that they get involved with the story part and they leave the message. That is what is Kali Yuga. If you take the Ramayana, the Mahabharata happened just 5,000 years back. So that's relatively closer to our times. Ramayana happened before that. And if you read the other Puranas, various incidents have been described. Now, for some people ask, are all these true or are they mere fictional stories? For a true sadhak, these questions are meaningless. Because what is the message which is being conveyed through these incidents? That is what a sadhak will focus on. Whether these incidents happened or not, now that is not going to be the field of research of a sadhak, one who wants to develop himself or herself and become one with the infinite. All these incidents did happen, but the masters take these incidents and they add a few more things to make it interesting. That's why it looks like a story. That's why some people get a doubt: is it a real life thing or is it fiction? Is it merely a fiction? It's like, you take a movie based on a real life incident. Everything which happens in the movie may not have happened actually. They will dramatize it. Only then it becomes interesting. Shakespeare wrote the famous play Julius Caesar. Now, did Julius Caesar actually exist? Yes. But every dialogue which Shakespeare wrote, did that happen in Julius Caesar's life? No. He took that and then he put it in a dramatic form. It's like that only. Why I'm mentioning that is, here in this verse, see, Saha yagna praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi. Pura means right at the beginning of creation. Pura means old. So the word Puran is also derived from this word Pura only. That which happened long, long ago. Why have they always mentioned like that? Why is it called Puranas? You need to understand the psychology which these masters have used. See, before we get into the main message of this verse, there are so many side messages, like what we call as fringe benefits, we say, which are these side messages are extremely useful to us when we practically communicate with people and all that. See, one of the things which the human mind values is antiquity. When something is told now, people have no value. When it is said this was told 10,000 years back, then immediately their interest is kindled. The human mind has an extra value for those things which happened way back. When we say that the Bhagavad Gita was a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna that happened 5,000 years back, Krishna was there. Now you have a tremendous value. But if the same Krishna were to appear today in front of you, definitely he will not come in the same form, because according to the trend, he will take a different form. But just for argument's sake, let us say Lord Krishna comes to you and says, I am only Krishna. You will say, I can't believe you. What is the proof? You will have no value. That is what is interesting. The mind tends to imagine a lot of things. So when you read the life history of a saint, or when you read these Puranic stories, I'm using the word story, but by story I don't necessarily mean fiction. It has been put in a story form, these incidents, So when you read the Puranas, what happens is your mind starts imagining so many things with a lot of value. The value for what you're reading or whatever you're receiving increases when it comes from the past. This is a human tendency, the tendency of the human mind. Now, our masters were great psychologists. All yogis are master psychologists. Knowing that the mind has a value for the past, they used it to full effect. That is why the Puranas were created in a book form, that is in a knowledge form. The same thing, supposing, let us say, a master sits today and writes about whatever incidents are happening today in the world. Based on that, if he writes a scripture, will you read it? No, you will not place it on par with the Bhagavad Gita. You will not place it on par with some other scripture which was given thousands of years back. The message may be the same. So that is the significance of this word Pura. Pura means way back. This wisdom is coming from time immemorial. He has gone back right to the starting of this creation. Nobody knows when. So starting point of creation means from time immemorial this wisdom has been flowing. That is why it is called Sanatana Dharma, that which never ever get destroyed with time. Ancient wisdom doesn't mean old-fashioned, as some people misunderstand that, anything can be misunderstood. Ancient wisdom means that which has stood the test of time, Sanatana Dharma. And Dharma means principles, righteous principles. So this principle of yagna, from when was it there? Right from day one, right from the creation. Actually, he uses the word sahayagna. As he was creating, that it was the creation happened along with this principle of yagna, he says. Which means before the creation happened itself, yagna was there. It was only with this principle that creation was possible. So, the moment something is seen as antique, the value increases. And it is not that he is just deliberately trying to concoct something. It is true, this wisdom has stood the test of time. So you should understand the value of what you are receiving today. Even though you are receiving these messages today, these messages are coming from the ancient times. How much back are we to go? He says, go right before creation. Right from those days, this wisdom is flowing. And that is what you're receiving today when you're listening to this. See, the moment you visualize that, you will get so inspired. And when the mind approaches something in a state of inspiration, it can absorb maximum. When you listen to this without that effect, that inspiration, you will not be able to absorb the real depth. The masters created that effect so that the student can absorb the depth easily. So when you are communicating, see, this is a principle of communication. When you are communicating something to someone in life, you have to communicate so many things. You have to communicate to your wife, you have or husband. You have to communicate to your other family members, to your children, to your colleagues in workplace. If you have a boss, you have to communicate something to the boss. If you have a team under you, you have to communicate to the team. One of the principles of communication is to create a value in the other person for whatever you're communicating. Generally, what happens is you go on talking without creating any value in the other person's mind. To intellectually or verbally communicate the contents of your message is very easy. But to create a value in the other person's mind is the most difficult thing. An effective salesperson does that only. Supposing a salesperson wants to sell a product. Now, if he just goes on telling you about the product, how this product was formed, does it ensure the sales, that the sales will happen? Does it ensure the sales? No. He or she has to create a value of that product in the customer's mind. Only then that person will buy it. So if you see all the marketing agencies, the advertising agencies, they don't merely list out the various points about the product. It's not merely that. They always try to create a value in people's minds. And once that value is created, the rest automatically follows. It is actually a very ancient principle. This is a principle of communication. That's why I told you, the ancient wisdom has so many facets. When it is applied to management, when it is applied in the corporate scenario, it can give wonderful results. So, Pura Uvacha, the Creator said, when the creation happened, how did He do it? It's a very, very dramatic way of putting it. He's making it very interesting to the mind, and He's creating that value in the mind. So, you should also go with the flow. Like a child listening to a story, if you can get into these verses, that awe factor will be created, a value will be created, and that is when your mind can absorb. Remember, the mind in you is like a child. You may be an adult, that's a different matter, but the mind within you is like a child only. It can want anything without any logic, without any direction or dimension. It can be very stubborn at times. You may give all the logic, but it may not understand. How can you give any logic to feelings, to sentiments? You can't. It is like a child. So the child picks up things which it is inspired with. That awe gets created. So the great masters have created these Puranas, this approach itself of making it dramatic, so that the child in you starts responding. And the deeper philosophical meaning is you should also become like a child when you're approaching the sacred wisdom. Because when you drop all your conditioning, when you drop all your worries, anxieties and everything, and just get into this like a child, your absorption will be increased tremendously. So it's not only in this verse, he will be continuing in the next few verses, this dramatic way of putting this principle. So you should also go with the flow and absorb that with greater inspiration. Now this is with respect to your communication to others. Now with respect to yourself also you can follow this principle. Whenever you're doing your activities, try to make them as interesting as possible. Don't do your activities mechanically with a sense of boredom. Whatever it is that you're doing, try to make it very interesting and understand, with that awareness. When you observe your mind, just see how much of that interest is kept alive when you're performing an activity. Especially with routine activities, the mind has this tendency to lose interest very fast. Once you lose interest in some activity, if you're feeling bored, but you're continuously doing it, now that becomes a burden. That becomes a burden on your mind. A yogi approaches his life in a very fresh way. He may do the same thing again and again, but he will keep on increasing the interest in that action. This is a very powerful yogic practice. Now I'll tell you why this is a very powerful yogic practice. Because it is this which will make you consistent in your sadhana. As you advance in spirituality, the master will start giving you lesser and lesser things, and he will ask you to do it on a daily basis. At a very advanced stage, just one mantra will be given and you go on chanting it mentally. Just observe your breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. It's the same thing which is going to be happening. But at a very advanced stage, a yogi breathes with full interest every single time, as if it is for the first time. So that this is a very, very important principle which you can apply to yourself and also when you communicate with others. See, you should never ever feel that boredom in your life. Why is it that you're going for a holiday or you want a vacation and all that? There's nothing wrong with going, but what is the psychology? Because you get bored with whatever you're doing here. So you say, let me now change the environment. But what you need to understand is that whether you are here or whether you go somewhere, you are the same only. It's the same mind. If you continue to stay there for a while, again you will feel bored there. The boredom in life is created within the mind, not because of the external circumstances. I want you to reflect on this. because this is the principle which is going to help you to be consistent in your path. And as we advance in spirituality, in higher empowerments, very less variety will be given. You will be asked to focus on just a few things. And if you do it a few times and then you get bored with it, you will not be able to continue. A yogi is one who has mastered this technique of keeping his interest alive every single time he performs the same activity. He doesn't look for variety in activities. He doesn't approach his activities in the sense of, if I do different things, now it will be interesting. The same thing can be very, very interesting if you train your mind. How do you do that? I'll give you one tip. Here we are talking about making it dramatic. That is one way, but using that principle practically, how do you do that? If you, that is, how do you make your ordinary experience more interesting? If you do it with this thought in mind that this is the first time I'm going to do this, it is just psyching your mind only. Now, your logic will come. It will say, no, yesterday also I did this, then how can this be the first time? Set aside your logic for a while. This is a technique to influence your mind, to inspire it. So let us say you're doing something. If you can approach it as if you're going to do it for the first time, then you will find that immediately the mind will get so interested. This is the secret of a yogi's cheer and childlike enthusiasm. See, every Sunday you're listening to that. With a very serious face you're listening, What is this? There should be that childlike enthusiasm. How? Every day is a new day. If you can just think that you were born today, then life becomes so interesting, as if this is the starting point of your life. Then you've made it very dramatic. Your life becomes very dramatic. Even ordinary incidents will be like a very interesting drama, like a very interesting movie for you. And this, if you master, it will be very, very helpful as you advance further, and when further higher practices of meditation are given to you, you will be able to sustain it. You will be able to consistently do those higher sadhanas. And when you go to the highest sadhana, it is the sadhana of silence, just remaining in a state of silence internally. Today, if you try it, you will get bored. Just imagine if there is no sound anywhere outside, externally also if you try to practice it, absolutely nothing, you are just all alone, silent. You will get bored within a short while. Why? Because that is no longer interesting. It is the same silence which is continuing. Same pattern is continuing. You want different things. When I say you, I mean the mind. So if you can project it internally silencing the mind will be very boring for a person who has not prepared himself or herself. So right from now itself, start preparing yourself. First, bring that interest in all the activities which you're doing. What are the activities? Let's say you have family activities, then you have activities with respect to your office, that is work, then you're talking to someone, so many things you're doing. Bring that childlike enthusiasm into all those. Every day when you wake up, you're brushing your teeth, you're having a bath. Into those so-called normal activities, infuse this childlike enthusiasm. Lord Rama's life has been depicted this way. Do you know that Ramayana was written many thousands of years before Rama actually was born? Now, what is the meaning of that? There is a particular message which is being given there, which means already the drama was written. Rama just went through the drama of life. It's a very, very powerful sadhana. You can try it out and see. It'll make your life so interesting. Just imagine that whatever is happening in your life is actually a drama and you are an actor in that drama. Which means the next statement you're going to make is a part of that drama, is a dialogue in the drama. Whatever activities which you're going to do is all a part of a drama. Now, the moment you bring that kind of attitude, you will automatically become detached. The ups and downs of that play, of the drama, is no longer going to affect you. You will start becoming very cheerful. Supposing in a drama, a person is playing the role of a king and he loses all the wealth. And he is sitting and crying there. It's all a drama. As long as he knows it's a drama, he will not allow that loss of wealth or the subsequent sorrow because of the loss of wealth to affect his real personality. But if he starts thinking it is real, then only the affectation starts. Because in the previous verse he said, Mukta Sangaha, be free of attachment. How can you do that? This is one very effective way. I will reveal more secrets about these techniques as we go along. But as of now, if you can absorb this and you practice it and see in your life, it's an amazing thing. The next experience which you're going to have, even right now, this wisdom is being given to you. This is a part of the drama of your life. You're playing the role of a student. The whole complexion of that experience will change. You know, the so-called petty quarrels, all those things will go away. You will become so cheerful. You will automatically get into a state of objectivity, of detachment. So, Mukta Sangaha, so many angles were given. This is another practical tip by which you can become free of your attachments. Very, very profound, this technique is. So, he is giving you this principle, making it very interesting by putting it in a dramatic fashion. He is creating a story out of it, an incident out of it. The mind gets into it fully. The mind gets so absorbed and engrossed. Now, understand this principle and start practicing it in your life. So, what is he saying? Sahayagnaha praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi. Having created people along with the principle of sacrifice, the Lord of creation, Prajapatihi, said, Uvacha. So, Praja Praja means the people, children. Many dimensions are there. Is referring to mainly humans. But actually Praja also means breed of animals and all other creatures also. Now, when he says, when creation happened along with the principle of yagna, now for a second, you bring it to your life right now. See, you are a part of the creation. So if you project this into your life, what he's trying to say is, when you were created with this principle of yagna. See, remember, whenever they use this the Puranic style, we can say, and they give the wisdom. You first, yes, the story is interesting, the incident is interesting, all that is fine. But after that, you have to bring it to your present life. Okay, the creator, when he created, he said, he created it along with the principle of sacrifice, fine. What is that to you in your life today? The relevance is you are a part of creation. And so, creation here means you. Praja means you. So, when you were created along with the principle of yagna. Now, this is a very, this is an amazing statement to make, because it has a profound implication. A common question which comes to a sadhak's mind is, this principle of yagna, or all these principles are so difficult. So yagna is so wonderful, I agree to that, but extremely difficult to master this. When am I going to learn all this and then practice it and master it? Is it practically possible? This is a doubt which many sadhaks get. You would have also got that doubt sometimes. This is the answer to that. Right when you were created, the principle of yagna was also there, which means you are not going to, that is, you don't need to focus on learning this yagna from somewhere. It's not, you're not going to learn or gain this knowledge about yagna from somewhere outside. It is there right within you, because it was created when you were created. It was created along with the principle of yagna. So this entire wisdom is there within you. What are we doing every Sunday in this yogic approach? It may look as if a lot of points are being given and all that. But actually no. Everything, every point which is being given during these sessions is only meant to trigger the inner wisdom, that deep wisdom, the Vedic wisdom which is there within you. See, a Pandit or a scholar will teach you the scriptures like a book, like the bookish knowledge. And you will feel that you are getting the knowledge from an external source. You will feel that you are learning something new. Whereas a master will not teach you like that. It will look as if he is teaching you from outside, but he will be triggering that inner wisdom. So every time you go to a master and you keep gaining this wisdom, on one hand it will be coming from outside, but a strange thing will be experienced by you. You will feel that you know it already. It will ring a bell within you. It will keep on triggering your inner wisdom. That is the beauty of a master. That is one of the main principles of this yogic approach. So, saha yagna praja srishtva, having created people along with the principle of sacrifice, along with yagna. Now, you apply it in your life. When people means praja means everyone. Now you, instead of people, you put yourself there. When you were created, your very creation happened along the principles of yagna only. So this principle of yagna is ingrained within you. You just have to activate it. It is not an external practice which you need to learn and master and all that. When you start off, you will feel like that. But as you travel in this journey with the master, you will understand, or you will begin to realize that the master is not taking you anywhere outside. He is only triggering factors within you so that you're pulled deep, deep within yourself. The entire wisdom of the Vedas is there within you. You have not learned that secret to unlock it. The role of a guru is that only. True guru. So there is a difference between a master and a mere teacher. Sometimes we may use the word teacher for master also, but in this context, just to explain the difference these words are being used. A teacher is one who merely informs, but a master is one who triggers the inner wisdom with the help of the external wisdom. And when you absorb this truth that yagna is a part and parcel of you. It is within you. It has been there right from your starting point, which is what we are calling as creation. Then that gives you tremendous confidence. You just have to trigger it from within. Why I'm mentioning this at this point is because there is a question which a sadhak has asked. I'm not reading the question, but straight away I'm answering that question. That is, sadhak, what she has asked is that, on one hand, this principle of yagna is so inspiring, but on the other hand, my self-confidence is also taking a hit, because where is this sacred principle and what am I doing in my life? It seems like there is a long way to go. Is it possible for me to ever master this principle fully? This is what the sadhak has asked. The answer to that is given right at the outset of this verse. Saha yagna praja srishtva. Right from when you were created, the principle of yagna was also there. It is only with the principle of yagna that you have been created. So it is ingrained within you. And something which is there within you just needs to be triggered, realized and experienced. It is only in the initial stages you will find it very difficult. I'm not defining what is that initial stage. It may go on for a few months also. But as you go deeper and deeper into it, you will find it so interesting, because that is going to keep triggering so many points of wisdom from within you. You yourself will be so surprised. This is a path of self-discovery, self-realization. This is not a path of gaining knowledge in an external way. So, this principle of yagna is something which belongs to you. It comes naturally to you. Today, you're not recognizing that. As we go into more depth, all this you'll begin to realize, that how even when you're breathing, actually yagna is happening. You're not recognizing that. When you're seeing yagna is happening. In the next chapter, when we go to chapter 4, he will be covering the entire life's activities into various types. And he will say how each of that is a yagna which is happening. An amazing exposition of this wisdom. How the perception about your whole life will change. So yagna is not something new to you, which you need to learn and practice. It is very old. Right from your starting point, yagna is there. You have just forgotten it. And the role of a master is just to remind you. Remind you about something which you already have. So, this is the answer to that sadhak who has asked this. Never ever lose your confidence. The strength of a sadhak is in self-confidence. The strength of a yogi is in supreme confidence. When everything is within you, when you are the infinite, how can you be short of confidence? Never underestimate yourself. Nor do you need to overestimate yourself and get into an ego. See, that also I'm just putting a word of caution there. But don't think low about yourself. That is a great sin, I would say. Have that self-respect, self-esteem, self-value. Because you are essentially divine. In every Nididhyasana session I say, I am Swayam Prakashit. I am self-illuminating. When you keep on absorbing that energy, you will find that the self-illumination starts happening automatically. So, saha yagnyaha praja srishtva. When the creation happened, it happened along with yagna. Saha yagna means along with sacrifice, along with yagna. Very, very powerful message which adds tremendous value to your sadhana. So we'll stop with that here. You think about whatever principles were given. See, some of the principles which have been given today are very deep, especially the drama of life and all that. Now, you listen to this as many times as you want, and in a relaxed way, in a patient way, whatever you're able to absorb that. Don't become result oriented. Enjoy the whole process, When you focus on what you're inspired by, now it's easy to carry the thought throughout your day. Whenever you get spare time or whenever you're doing some activity which doesn't require full attention. Now, what you got inspired with will start playing like a computer within your mind. That is the manana, reflection. And the more you do that, you will be able to uncover this wisdom from within. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll do the Nididhyasana meditation now. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am getting into a state of deep relaxation. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. I am not this body. I am not these various emotions and thoughts. I am that supreme, infinite self. The entire wisdom is within me. The principle of yagna is deeply ingrained within me. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today's session was very powerful. Deep messages have been given. And all these messages are meant to make you an effective sadhak. You can receive the higher grace when you become a powerful sadhak. So every aspect of this wisdom, when absorbed in the right way, makes you a very powerful sadhak. Okay? So you reflect, and in the next session we will go into more depth. The starting of this verse itself has been so powerful, isn't it? So as we go deeper into it, you will see tremendous power is there. Okay? So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Hari Om.